the Mitsubishi Triton Athlete Edition. It's time to take this new truck to the streets. This is the Mitsubishi Triton Athlete Edition. Once upon a time, this was locally known as the L200 or even the Mitsubishi Strada. But Mitsubishi Motors Philippines decided to change things up a bit for the 6th generation of this new truck. Launched in the Philippines last year, this diesel has been a workhorse that's been enjoyed by many. It's reliable and it's comfortable with a competitive price tag that's made it approachable for many looking for a utilitarian kind of ride. And with this Athlete Edition being the most powerful Triton in the lineup, this is also a pickup truck that's ready for anything. Now let's begin this feature with talking about what's in the back of this pickup truck. Now, more often than not, when you do buy a pickup truck, you'd rather be behind the wheel or riding shotgun with this ride. But for those 1 or 2 trips out of town, this is what the experience will look like for the passengers in the back. Now, first of all, with regards to these seats, you have a bench type seating here in the back, and I like that with this particular truck, it's not completely upright, and therefore your lower back or your hips won't feel that tired, especially on those long trips. Now, if you want something that reclines more, I suggest the Montero Sport. But in this particular configuration, it's very comfortable. You have a center armrest with 2 cup holders here, and even if you keep that up, there's plenty of space here for 3 passengers. Now you have 2 USB ports down below, Type A and Type C, and with these seats, it's the right amount of sportiness and comfort. Sportiness in the sense that you have these particular fabrics here, which is very breathable, and comfort in the sense that you do have leatherette all throughout your car as well. This is also the same experience in the front. Now, with the Triton Athlete, one thing I am completely fascinated about with this ride that's exclusive to this trim is that aside from your dual zone climate control, you also have air vents up on top. Now, what I like about the Mitsubishi Triton is that there's a lot of physical buttons here for the driver, so you won't really feel disoriented if you are to be taking long drives and it's just you. The physical buttons complement your center screen here in the middle, so making adjustments on the fly, it's not going to be that disorienting. There are buttons for your audio, buttons to access your 360 camera. Yes, there's also a volume knob, and there's also buttons for your auto climate control down below. So all of this, it's a pretty nice touch for this car. And because of the center screen, it really shows how this car really still does follow the modern times. And for your adjustable drive modes and for your transfer case, it's all down below. The center screen has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and similar to your digital driver's display, everything is easy to learn from here. And if you're coming from an analog setup, you'll like how first-time friendly everything is. Everything's easy to learn here, especially if you're putting in the right time with this ride. Now again, you gotta remember to drive responsibly. But all things considered though, this is a very first-timer friendly car. Now you have power adjustable seats for your driver's side, and you also have a button for your transfer case and 7 adjustable drive modes. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, yes. A 360 camera, absolutely, no problem whatsoever. And the 7 adjustable drive modes that this car has. That makes me wonder. 3, 2, 1. There it goes! The Athlete is in action. This truck can definitely do more than just move. This truck's ready for everything. Alright, mud and sand is all over the place. This truck is... I don't know what to say, man. I really don't know what to say. Well, I am having a lot of fun. Perhaps too much fun. And yeah, with the 7 drive mode that you have and the bi-turbo engine, this truck's pretty much ready for everything. And yeah, I think I'm gonna need a car wash after this. Under the hood, the Mitsubishi Triton Athlete carries a 2.4-liter bi-turbo diesel engine that gives you 204 PS of power and 470 Nm of torque, all mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. The estimated combined fuel economy figures for the Mitsubishi Triton Athlete Edition for city and highway is at around 12 kilometers per liter. Just remember that those fuel economy figures depend on either your driving conditions or your driving styles. The 4N16 engine. Now that's the diesel engine that's under the hood of the all-new Triton Athlete. Now, with this engine, you gotta know that it does come from a very rich pedigree when it comes to Mitsubishi. Now, you gotta know that Mitsubishi has always been known to dominate the Dakar rallies even back then, especially with the Mitsubishi Pajero. Now, it was and is a status symbol car here in the Philippines. It is a bit of a success sign for you to have a Pajero even in the now. But the thing is though, that car is very capable for anything and everything that you throw at it. Like you can literally throw that thing in a desert, in a jungle, and it can do more than just a job. And that can be said because of the V6 engine engine. But running parallel with the V6 engine is also the 4D56 engine, which is the diesel counterpart of the V6. And you know what? The 4D56 was more than capable. Everybody loved it. Everybody could work with it. And you know what? That engine did so well that besides the Pajero, it was also in the Delica, the L300, and even the L200 Strada. So really, everybody loved that 4D56. So when Mitsubishi was adjusting to modern times by lessening emissions and improving efficiency, they went with the 4N15, which eventually became the 4N16, which is what we have right now. And you know what? Based on how we've been driving this car, I think they're onto something. And you know what? You don't need to be off-road to be able to experience what the 4N16 engine is all about for the Mitsubishi Triton Athlete Edition. Now, with this truck, it's got a bi-turbo engine. And you know what? The bi-turbo really gives you a very balanced power-to-weight ratio. You have turbo on the low end of the rev range and also on the top end as well. So really, you won't feel any lack of power with this truck wherever you're at. 204 PS of power and 470 Newton meters of torque all waiting for you on the wings, along with a 6-speed automatic. That's what this truck's all about. Now, the last time I had a Triton with me was back when I was at Rev Plus and ANC. And that was a pretty fun show. Now going back though, that particular Triton that I had was color red and it was a GLS version that they had. And comparing that GLS to this Athlete Edition, there are some key similarities and some differences as well. Now first of all, you got to remember that with the Athlete, you do have a little bit more power with this car, and it's because this is a 4x4 ready car. Now with the GLS, it's a 4x2. But you know what? It was still a pretty good workhorse to have. It's still a pretty good workhorse to have, come to think about it. And if you still have it, or if you did get it for yourself, great choice. Now, the similarities that I noticed with the two trucks, first of all, will be noticed in the insulation and the ride height that you do have, and as well as the ride quality. It's all very much the same. It still follows the Mitsubishi engineering language that they all follow when it comes to the Triton. And you know what? If you're familiar with pickup trucks, you're going to be perfectly fine. Now, the differences that I may have noticed, first of all, is the off-road capabilities that this truck has versus the GLS, and as well as the power output. But one thing I also find fascinating with the Athlete is that the steering wheel is a little bit lighter with this truck, and I noticed that at low speed maneuverability. When I move in the truck at low speeds, I'll notice the steering wheel is just a little bit lighter versus the GLS, and I think that's the benefit from the off-road capabilities that this truck has. But when you're at high speed, it's still properly balanced, so you won't feel any lack of steering output or steering feel. So you still have control whether you're at high or at low speed. Alongside the steering wheel, I also noticed that the seats are a lot more comfortable here, and that's because of the added leather that you do have. So long drives will not feel tiring with this car. And one thing I also find fascinating with this Triton, and as well as the previous Triton, is the center screen that you have and the digital driver display. It actually has some similarities to Nissan, and you'll notice it with the font and the graphics. But you know what? That's a good thing. It's a bit of a nod to the joint ventures that Nissan and Mitsubishi has had over the years. And you know what? If you've ever driven a Nissan before and you're going to make a transition to Mitsubishi, you're going to be perfectly fine. The learning curve will not be so difficult with a situation like that. So you know what? All things considered, when you look at the Mitsubishi Triton Athlete, this is an off-road ready car. This is also a car that can do the city well. And this is a car that also does great on the highways. So come to think of it, this truck's ready for action. And that's what this truck's all about. The Mitsubishi Triton Athlete Edition is ready for just about anything and everything that you throw at it. The LED lights are properly set up to give you the best visibility possible, and there's a camera at the front which aids in maneuverability. Along with the dynamic shield design that you have for the Mitsubishi Triton Athlete Edition, what you have here are piano black accents that go all throughout the entire exterior of the vehicle. Now, I like these piano black accents. You know why? Because it makes it really workable if in case you want to add more things to the overall aesthetics of your car. If you want to add a winch or a bumper, the car can perfectly handle it in terms of the optics and also in terms of performance. And you know what? Even in stock, with the piano black accents the way it is, it looks great. If you take it off-roading, if you take it mudding, look, it looks perfectly fine. Just a good wash and you're gonna be okay. And one last thing, if you worry about having too much fun in the Mitsubishi Triton, don't worry. There is a reinforced steel skid plate underneath your front bumper. Now let's talk about the numbers. Versus the previous Mitsubishi Strada, this all-new Triton is longer, wider, and taller than the previous truck. Match that with the independent wishbone suspension at the front with coils and the rigids with the leaf springs in the rear, and as well as the gross vehicle weight of the Triton Athlete at around 3,020 kilograms, and you'll know what this truck is all about. And that's a good thing. Now, what I like about the Mitsubishi Triton is that comfort isn't really compromised, whether it comes to the driver or the passenger, and performance isn't really affected as well. Now, with this truck from the side, what you do have are 18-inch black alloy wheels here to go with R18 tires, and the black accents do continue even here in the side, as seen on your door handles, your side mirror, and as well as your side fenders, your roof rails, and as well as your sports bar there on your truck bed. Now, with this truck, the color of the day is white, or at least it used to be white before we took it off-road. Again, I'm really gonna get this car cleaned after today, alright? Don't worry. But if white isn't your cup of tea for this ride, don't worry, there are 6 other color options to choose from. And last but not the least, when it comes to your brakes, you have disc brakes at the front, drum brakes at the rear. Now, this is what it looks like in the back of the Mitsubishi Triton. Now, you'll notice how high this truck sits here in the back, and you know what? That's a good thing. You want that because this is a flood-capable vehicle. Now, one thing you'll notice from the back, though, is along with the piano black accents that continue with the bumper and everything else here in the back with your sports bar and everything else, the badging is very deliberate here in the rear. You can see your badging for everything, and you will not mistake this truck for anything else. Now, for added convenience for the driver, you do have backup sensors here in the back to go with your bumper, and as well as a backup camera. That's a good thing to have, especially if you're going to be parking in tight city spaces. But do you know why else you get a pickup truck? Well, it's for this. Payload capacity is an important metric when it comes to pickup trucks, and the Triton doesn't fall behind. This ride has a payload capacity of around 1,100 kilograms, and that goes along with a bed that's 55 inches long and as wide as 43 inches with the wheel wells, and goes as wide as 59 inches at the widest part of the truck bed. Now, when it comes to height, for your cargo capacity, you have 20 inches roughly from this side all the way up here on top. 22 if you consider this little detail here. Now, you gotta remember though that when it comes to pickup trucks, the numbers could be able to change because this is a very customizable vehicle. If you add or subtract more things to it, the numbers will be able to change. What do people normally put here in the back? Well, you could be able to put a sliding cover at the bare minimum, but you could also be able to put what they call a turtle back, which is somehow that sloping roofline effect that you have here in the back. Again, there's so much dynamics to consider when adjusting to your cargo. And you know what? Other countries or even other overland outfitters are able to even put a camper setup here in the back. So that's more than doable with this truck. And again, it goes well with the engine that you do have. Now, what impresses me the most about the Triton Athlete is the overall payload capacity for this truck. You know why? Because considering the fact that this is an off-road ready vehicle, the payload capacity isn't compromised. So if you do need to haul other things like rice, cement, or sacks of detergent aside from camping, hey, this truck can make it happen. And that's why I love pickup trucks. These trucks give you this go-anywhere attitude that you really can't deny. Now granted, the guys sitting in the back might prefer a Montero Sport or a van, but again, naturally pickups are upright if you're going to be sitting in the back. When it comes to a pickup truck, now when it comes to the Triton, this is the kind of ride that you will want to have with you if you need to go to far-flung places where technology doesn't or barely exist. And this truck is more than capable for that. It can take you there and back there and back here without any thought of concern or comments whatsoever. Now, you gotta remember that when it comes to pickup trucks, rescue and relief efforts also do happen when it comes to trucks like this. It's more than capable for that. Let's look at some headlines. You know, back in 2022, when Malaysia had some flooding through the Malaysia Red Crescent Society, they actually used the Triton as their relief vehicle. And aside from Malaysia, Indonesia did the same thing with Mount Semeru, or during the eruption of Mount Semeru at East Java. They also used the Triton as a relief effort vehicle for the locals of the area. And back during the pandemic, Thailand used 3 specially designed Tritons as ambulances for COVID-19 patients during the pandemic. And the list goes on and on and on. These trucks are more than capable for relief efforts. And you know what? I'm only talking about what's happening in the headlines, what the media can see. What more for what the private sector can do? And you know what? With the Triton, when you look at it, it's easily customizable. Want to add more height? Want to add a bumper? Want to add a winch or a snorkel? Hey, no problem. The aftermarket scene's got you covered, and this truck is more than capable for upgrades. Actually, you know what? Come to think of it, this truck will want you to upgrade. That's the fun thing about pickup trucks, is that you can be able to customize to your preference. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's just you and the Triton looking to go beyond limits.